Yo, welcome to a tribe called Swish. This is B More jumping on for a quick halftime show. Kev should be here in a minute, but just want to kind of get this started real quick. So, look, what we've seen so far in this first half has been absolute craziness. So, the Thunder looked like at first that they didn't know what they were doing at all. They looked like they didn't have any idea of what was going to happen. There we go. What's good, my brother?
What's up, man?
What's up? So yeah, I was just kind of kicking it off and saying that first half, especially the first quarter, the Thunder looked like the moment was too big for them. Like it looked like it was absolutely way too big for them, and they somehow turn it around. And I mean, it's good defense what they played, how they played all season, but that's kind of how they turned around. What have you been seeing?
Kind of like the same look. It's ironic that these veterans always kind of reign supreme when it matters most. Your Caruso's, your Hardenstein. Maybe he's a young vet, but he's experienced. And he kind of has that grit around the basket. And it's funny when you look at championship teams. They all have a certain type of DNA or a certain type of player, and that's why I feel like the Knicks would have like a Josh Hart or Timberwolves with a DiVincenzo
Yeah.
that commonly find themselves on championship rosters. So yeah, early on I thought OKC was just like a deer in headlights, and they kind of got it together. And then Jay Will became Jay Will.
So look, man, I'm going for them, right?
Hmm.
But I also have some money on the game also. And I
Okay.
had him I had him under I had him under 17 and a half. And I was feeling good up until
Okay.
the last 2 minutes of the second quarter. I'm like, all right, it's a wrap. But yeah, but we've been waiting for that Jay Will to show up through a whole series. Like
Hmm.
he's been shooting terrible. He's been playing good defense, as you know, as some of the commentators have been saying, but he has not been the person they needed. But that just shows that when their role players are coming to play,
Yeah.
these guys are almost unstoppable.
Yeah, without a doubt. Their depth has been big all year. And it's kind of like they just been quietly cooking. Like Dort, all these guys are kind of just like emerging. But it's just I think Jokic can't do it all. Jamal Murray is being Jamal Murray, but it's not. He's still not necessarily shooting the ball well. Porter is giving you everything he got, but and Braun gave us some good minutes, but
Mhm.
Porter he's that missing link. I don't really know what they're coming off. What else they're coming off the bench with that kind of will give them a spark. I think it's the other shooter, but he's streaky, so it's tough.
And something that I've noticed is that with the Thunder, they are leaving Christian Brown open
Wow.
all day. And he's got like what he's got 12 points, but eventually those open threes. I mean, he's a professional player, even though
Yeah,
he's not a great 3-point shooter.
yeah.
Eventually, those open threes are going to fall, and
Hmm.
that's going to be a problem for them. And that's my only concern going to the second half is that they can't keep being this slow in the rotations. I get being slow with Russ, and he only hit. I think he's like 1 for 3 from 3 point. That's
Hmm.
fine. But
Hmm.
Christian Brown's going to eventually, because he's younger, he's more athletic. He's going to eventually either hit that shot or
Yeah.
make or hit enough shots where they have to play him close. But
Yeah.
their under rotation is going to have to do something about that.
Without a doubt. And it's funny. Russell was like so much attention's been put on his jump shot, but he still shoots it with confidence. You can see that it's actually improving. And I know you said he's 1 for 3, but each time he's attempted, it hasn't been bad shots. It
No,
just
no,
one fell down, but the others just kind of either toilet bowl or in and out. But it's something that Braun definitely has to get it going because they're going to need him because Murray, that rub screen is effective, but it's not going tonight. So we'll
not at
see.
all. Yeah, he's like I saw in the second quarter, he started getting something going inside,
Yeah.
but they're going to need his shooting, and he can't. Something that I saw the Thunder do in this defensively on Jokic,
Hmm.
on Jokic is the fact that they're not worried with just having a big on him. Like they're not worried if it's just Hardenstein. Like Caruso is getting minutes on him, and when he gets too deep in the paint, they collapse with Dort. Sometimes Shea drops down, but
Yeah.
they're not scared just to leave Caruso on the island with him for a while. And look, yeah, he's a mouse in the house and all that, but Jokic is working.
Hmm.
Jokic is working every time Caruso is on him.
Without a doubt, without a doubt, it's. I think it's big when you can play Jokic 1-on-1. Go back to the Nuggets of how they've dominated the Lakers in the past. They always had to double Jokic and that open up shooting. But when you can play man up, goes back to that Laker team, that bubble team playing with Dwight. So it's like the DNA is there to kind of slow down Jokic, and it's working. On top of the shooting around and not making shots, it's really working though.
So what do you think the Nuggets can do to get back into this game? Because I
Okay.
mean, listen, they're a team with championship DNA. I'm a
Mhm.
firm believer in that. But what do you think they have? What do you think we have to see for them just to kind of not, because the Thunder are hot. This game could be, they could be down by 25 in a blink of an eye. So
Mhm.
what do you see the Nuggets can do to kind of close this gap, make this competitive?
Well, first off, you got to get some stops. You got to get some stops. You can't go basket for basket. They went to a point where it was turnover after turnover, and then they were kind of going back and forth. But you got to get some stops. You got to make some shots. You know what I mean? And you got to really offset what they're going. I think on ball, I probably will keep doubling Shea. Someone else has to make plays off the dribble. If Jay Will, he's made some big shots and got some and ones, but let's see if he can beat me with that in the second half. But I'll just have to keep running a double at Shea to see if I can slow it down and go from there.
When should they jump off of MPJ? Because Struther is giving them good minutes, but
Mhm.
like when do they just say, "Hey, you don't have it. Your shoulders hurt, and
Yeah.
you don't play defense when you're healthy. So you're
Mhm.
not you can't really, if you can't give us shooting,
Yeah.
then when it's kind of you kind of dragging us down a little bit. So like when you like, because I'm thinking they might need to pull the plug on them. It's game
Mhm.
7. Pull the plug on them. I mean, if they get lucky and get out of this, you'll be good for West Conference Finals. But I don't
Mhm.
see the reason to keep them on the floor right now.
Yeah, I agree 1,000%. I feel like you give him maybe 5 to 10 minutes. Let's see what's going on. I'm definitely not gonna let it linger. Because I think him being out there is cool. But how effective are you? You know what I mean? Sometimes visibility doesn't mean productivity. He's out there.
Right.
You're not getting that. So yeah, about 5 to 10 minutes. Let's see what's going on. If the shot's falling, I can kind of live with the defensive side. You kind of just have to because he's such
Yeah,
a threat. But 5 to 10 minutes, if I don't see it, then I got my eye on it.
for real. Yo, props to Aaron Gordon, man. Look,
All right.
grade 2 hamstring. They were like, he's gonna one and done. He's gonna probably run up and down the court, run up the court, and then like it's gonna pull him. That is gonna be a hard time. But
Mm-hmm.
hey, he's giving them good minutes. He's
All right.
giving them good minutes. Like, this playoff run has just upped my respect for Aaron Gordon. Listen, I've always liked him even back in his Orlando days.
Yeah.
Always liked Aaron Gordon, but the way he's played in this playoff run, man, it just
Mm-hmm.
he's just one of those players that you just kind of have to like root for, like, and I think that's been one of the big things about this NBA playoffs this year is that you're almost rediscovering these players and just kind of having a new love for them because of just how hard they're playing and how well they're playing also.
Mm-hmm. I think the adoration for Aaron Gordon has been brewing since the dunk contest. That
Yeah.
clash he had with Levine. Some say he
Yep.
got robbed based upon the dunks that occurred, and then I think him playing favor now, him just cooking
Yeah.
with Denver, icing on the cake. You know what I mean? And on top of he plays with such spirit, such grit. He's a tweener though. He's 6'10". He can
Right.
rebound a little bit off the dribble. He's a big pickup. But I think the Michael Porter, this is his last go. If he doesn't really get it going in game 7, I think we'll see him in a different uniform next year. That's my
Oh,
prediction.
absolutely. 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 All right, we got like 1 minute left. Real
All right.
quick. Eastern Conference Finals. Quick preview. What are you
Uh,
looking to see in this series? You don't need me
ooh,
to pick. What are you looking to see? What are you watching?
I
What are you
think you'll see
watching for?
the true superstars emerge. I expect a big series out of Brunson. I expect a big series out of Halliburton and Big Cat being a big impact. I think the Knicks' depth, grit, and experience will definitely show in that series.
I'm looking for Halliburton to continue his streak. I
Mm-hmm.
think he is. I think he's got that chip on his shoulder, and I think this is the perfect kind of series. This is like the small town boy going into the big city. Like this is that type of series. And I
Mm-hmm.
expect him to continue to excel.
Yep.
I expect a big series from Miles Turner. I feel like Pascal Siakam is kind of the guy who probably the other guy, but I think this series is going to be a Miles Turner series. So I wouldn't. So that's what I'm watching for.
I'm with you, and I love the matchup of Pascal and OG. That's gonna be
Yeah.
a big matchup. Big matchup. We'll
People
see.
with like just their arms are just like room length, right?
Right.
So
It's
yeah,
like
that's
the
gonna be a great matchup.
defense. I'm with you.
Yeah. All right. So this is B More. That's Kev from Ohio. So thank you for joining us. Halftime show. We're probably gonna do some more during the playoffs, especially in the finals. So it's better than watching Screaming A. Smith for 15 minutes, right? All right. So we'll holler at y'all later.
All right,
Peace.
my